Welcome to the official podcast of PHP Architect. Join us to listen to the latest news and tech talk from our conferences, the magazine, and wider PHP community.
Hello, you're listening to the PHP Podcast, episode 23.4.1, the official podcast of the PHP Architect, where we bring you the latest insights into the PHP Architect magazine, conferences, and so much more. I'm your host, John Congdon, and with me is my friend and business partner, Eric Van Johnson.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Feels like it's been a while since we've done one of these.
Yeah, I know. We keep saying we're going to do them more, and then it always feels like a month has passed.
It's just the way it's been working out. It happens. Bunch of things to talk about, including a new sponsor for this podcast that will be with us the rest of the year. I'm excited about having them on. I want to thank JetBrains and PHP Storm for sponsoring this episode, and I'm sure we will talk more about them coming up.
Sure.
In the meantime, let's talk about PHP Architect. We'll talk about the business, the magazine. Yeah. How are you feeling with things, where things are at?
I'm happy about the April edition. Got a lot of articles in really quickly, so that's always nice. The April edition is going to be a little special, going to be a little bigger than usual, and I'm really happy about it.
I know we're still waiting on one article to wrap things up, and then we have all of the layout and everything to button up to get it actually out. So again, we're now April 7th, and we still don't have the release, which is a little frustrating. It happens when we're waiting on contributors. Speaking of contributions, if you want to write for the PHP Architect magazine, if you want to become a published author, hit us up. Write, WRITE at phparch.com. We're always looking for new contributions, whether it's feature-length articles or possible, filling in for different columns, because sometimes our columnists need a break. So we, it'd be nice to have additional articles in the pipeline to put into the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And we pay. It's not a free gig.
No, it is
if
not.
you want to make a little money, hit us up. Again, always looking for new ideas or a new take on something. Personal experience. I love people's personal experience in the magazine, how they tackled a problem. And I was going somewhere with that, and I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, you don't have to be an expert on the topic. I think we say it often enough. Taking the opportunity to write an article, to give a presentation at your local user group or at a conference is such a huge learning experience. It gives you that opportunity to learn just a little bit more about the topic so you can write an article about it, but you also don't have to be like the expert on that topic. Just have a passion for that piece, write about what you know, learn a little bit along the way. And I always hope somebody asks me questions so that I can either share my knowledge that I may have missed in the presentation or the article that I wrote, or I can say, oh, I haven't thought about that. I have something new I can learn. And to me, that's what it's all about, is learning.
Yeah. And I don't know if we made it clear. Obviously, PHP is a great topic. Anything PHP, we are very, we gravitate towards, but doesn't have to be PHP. It could be PHP adjacent stuff. It could be web technology, just something that you and your fellow PHP developers would find interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, web adjacent, web technology, because let's face it, PHP, while you don't have to use it on the web, while you can use it for other things, it is primarily a web-based language, primarily used to create web applications.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know if we talked about it on this show, but I've used it quite extensively in non-web based applications,
Well,
CLI applications.
we use it as part of the magazine's workflow that way.
Hmm. Yeah, as pure CLI, no web interface to it. I've used it in the past for doing a whole inventory application on handheld scanners. So what you were looking at was an ncurses layout. It- Just you can do way more than just web applications with it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. What's new in PHP?
Oh, well, what's new in PHP? The release manager for 8.3 voting, I don't know, is voting done or
It seems to be. I think everyone has voted.
yeah. And we have a one of our main contributors put their name in the hat. And yeah, it did pretty good. Did pretty good on the voting. Did better than I did when I ran. Eric Mann. Here, let me get down here. Eric Mann really came in a strong third out of 3.
We're sorry, Eric. I wish we knew it. Like, I thought he was well known in the community, so I thought he was a shoo-in. I mean, I'm sure he is well known, but maybe the other two just are stronger in internals that I just don't know about.
Right. I was actually thinking about that more this morning because I was a little surprised by it. And I think I've come to the conclusion that, especially when it comes to like internal sort of things, PHP developers are kind of outsiders, right? They're not the C developers who work on internals. So they have their own kind of community. That doesn't say you can't. I know Ben was a previous release manager. He's done some internals work, but I definitely think you need to kind of be involved with internals, like coming in out of the cold, no matter how popular you might be or how well known you might be in the PHP community. Coming into internals kind of out of the cold where you haven't been engaging with internals for a while, I think that works against you. And I think that's what we saw with Eric Mann.
That makes a lot of sense. And when I've gone and looked at to become a release manager, you're basically applying. You send an email and you say, here's who I am and here's what I offer. Here's what I've contributed. And going and reading them now, like you said, they've been part of internals. Somebody's been contributing to internals, to the internal code for 10 years. And
yeah, or
like
just
said,
participating in the mailing list is, I think acceptable as well.
Right. So like you said, it's not PHP development, even though it's for the PHP language.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. It makes me feel better that me and Eric Mann didn't get voted in.
That makes sense.
It's how I sleep at night.
Oh, let's talk about PHP Tech.
Oh man,
can't believe it. 38 days away if you're listening to this on Friday, April 7th, when we're recording this.
Yeah.
It is right around the corner.
Yeah, so excited. We talked about this a little bit on the PHP Ugly show last night, but this weekend is a big deal for us because we had purchased all the conference equipment from the people who had previously run the conference, All for One events.
One for all.
One for all events. Yeah, there you go. One for all events. We had purchased all the equipment, including the trailer that the equipment comes in. And John and I are in Southern California. This equipment is on the East Coast. So we have somebody going to pick it up this weekend and get it essentially closer to Chicago for us. Very excited about that. So
We need to talk more about that after this show. I have questions.
Yeah, I need to give that one place a call. Maybe we'll do that after the show together. We'll just give them a call and see.
Just make sure all the questions are answered.
Everything. so stressed about this. I am. I experienced this with Wave PHP when we put on Wave PHP, but it seems so much more with tech, where I'm so excited that it's getting close. I'm so excited to see how things are coming together. I'm terrified it's going to fall apart. Like, I'm like, it's just, what's going to fall apart here? Like, what's going to unravel the whole thing?
Yeah. You mentioned Wave PHP. For those that don't know, Eric and I have put on a conference in the past, Wave PHP back in 2018 here in San Diego. It was probably one of the, I mean, tooting our own horns, one of the best conferences as far as location was awesome, weather was great. We had lunch
Yeah,
on the beach, which people raved about. It was
every
just
day.
in a it was just in a year where there were so many PHP conferences that people had to choose where to go to, and they didn't know who we were, so they were going to some of these other conferences, and it just we didn't get the attendance we needed at that time.
To continue doing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Unfortunately.
Again, I feel like we're tooting our own horns a little bit, but our conference, not only were we on the beach, a private beach, I might add, it was private to the hotel that we were holding the conference at, but we were within walking distance of a very touristy beach here in Southern California that had like roller coasters, and it was, I mean, it wasn't even a quarter of a mile away. It was literally like the next block over. You could walk over to it.
You take those little electric scooters down there and just roam around, plenty of places to eat.
Yeah.
It was fun. Anyway,
Yeah.
enough reminiscing on the past. It is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
We don't have ad copy for our sponsor, but I do want to give them a huge thank you for sponsoring this episode. JetBrains, the makers of PHP Storm, are sponsors of this episode, and I've been using their products for years. And Eric has said it, I mean, for the last decade. PHP Storm is one of those things. While it's not free, it is a professional tool for PHP developers. And if you make a living with PHP, you probably should cough over the money for a license and have a licensed version and use PHP Storm, because it so many great tools, plugins. People that work on internals work directly with PHP Storm often, so it often gets a lot of the newest features or works with the latest in PHP before any of the other IDEs do. It's
Yeah.
just a fantastic tool.
I feel like I always have to kind of bring this up, but still, hands down, one of the best Vim emulators of any IDE out there. It's how I kind of get things done.
Mhm.
Funny thing that happened this week, John and I were doing some pair programming, and I was using PHP Storm. I had to turn off. I forgotten I had it on. I had to turn off GitHub's Copilot because it was actually getting in the way of PHP Storm's intelligence or IntelliSense and trying to complete things for us. And John was just like, "Okay, PHP Storm should be helping us with this, but your Copilot is suggesting code. Can you disable that?" And I disabled it, and made a difference. I got to remember to only turn that on when I'm feeling like I'm stuck and I need some help from Copilot.
I've tried Copilot, early on. It just wasn't doing it for me. I don't know why. Every once in a while, it would suggest something that was useful, but the way people rave about it and almost writing a complete application for them, I've never found.
Yeah, I've never had
So
that. I've never gotten that feeling either. I've gotten it where it's written a good amount of a function for me or a method for me, but yeah. So
anyway,
PHP Storm, thank you.
thank you so much. Look forward to a long, good relationship for sure.
Yeah.
We have SDPHP coming back up. If you're in the San Diego area, our next meetup is scheduled, and it's a week and a half away, right? I think it's a week from Tuesday.
A fellow PHP architect employee will be presenting this one. So
yeah, he's going to be doing separating business logic from code with a rules engine.
Very excited about this one.
Yeah, it's rules engines aren't uncommon. It's again something he wants to talk about. He likes, gets to learn a little bit more and give a presentation on it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
And again, if you're in the area, PHP Architect does buy pizza and beer or water of your choice. Well, not beer of your choice, but
water of your choice.
You could choose between beer or water.
There you go. That's pretty.
You have a choice.
And we're always interested to hear user groups that are starting back up and having in-person meetups. If you're part of one, give us a little tweet or something. Let us know that you all are all getting together and meeting again, and we'll start mentioning more user groups as we think about it on the podcast.
Yeah. Definitely missed it over the past few years. So
me too.
This is our fourth one. We started back at the beginning of the year. Our very first one was just a little mixer at a local restaurant. Maybe that's if you need a way to get started, just do that. Even if you didn't have a user group prior, getting one started is not too cumbersome. Finding presenters is hard. Not going to deny that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are the presenter for a while until you find somebody you trust and you're like, all right, you're doing a presentation, and you kind of twist their arm into doing it. And then once they do it, they're like, that wasn't so bad. I'll do it again.
Yeah.
But just get together with fellow developers at a restaurant, have fun, talk. That first one, I almost want to just do that like every other month. Do one where we just get together, can just kind of chat, and then the next month do a full presentation of something. Just ideas, throwing them out there.
Yeah. And if you don't have a local user group, or even if you do have a local user group, Merge PHP is a thing. Their next meetup is next week as well. I think the 13th, April 13th. Yeah. Using static analysis to improve code quality across both backend and front. Wow, that is a long title. Backend and front end, speeding up JSON queries with MySQL multi-value indexes. I assume that's 2 talks.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that was a long one, but yeah, Merge PHP. John and I are technically one of the organizers, I guess, or one of the contributors to it.
So. We got to give a presentation. Find someone to give one, or give one ourselves.
Yeah, you do, John.
Yeah, but it's not going to be until after tech. I'm just saying that now.
Yeah, I've kind of set that level of expectation with like friends, family. It's like, listen, don't ask me for anything until after May, because I'm kind of locked in right now.
If you're thinking about coming out to tech, book your hotel now. They are running out of space quickly. They've extended our block one last time, and they said that's it. Once we're out of rooms, we are sold out. Nothing we can do. Sorry.
Yeah, so, totally out of our hands too. We have no control over that. The hotel is reaching capacity. So
yeah, I feel bad. We have one of our PHP Ugly listeners who was probably one of the first people to buy a ticket to tech, didn't book their hotel room, and like, yeah, you better do it now. They're out of the king size beds, so you're going to be stuck in a room with double beds, which not the end of the world. Just
right.
Need a book sooner.
Yep. Oh, what else we got? Anything else? Anything in the pipeline for? Are we gonna share any of the May articles or April articles?
Sure, why not? I'm excited about a bunch of them. If you're coming to tech, we are printing out this magazine, so you will get a printed version of it in your swag bag. And
I was waiting to say that. I wasn't sure if you were going to if we're holding that onto that, but yeah,
no, I think we announced that, or maybe not. I don't know. It's announced now. It's out there. We're stuck. We have to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, excited. Yeah. Editorial this month was absolutely amazing.
If you don't say so yourself.
I'm pretty sure you and I make up half the people that read the editorial of the magazine. And we only read it when we're proofreading.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I think we ended up going with Chris Hartis, big time. I think everybody knows him from testing and pushing testing early in the PHP community and trying to get people, to embrace testing a little bit more. He's stepping in for the workshop and talking about one of my absolute favorite subjects, NeoVim, and how his, so much like Ben's article last month, where Ben is kind of talking about his workflow. Chris is doing the same thing, but focusing on his NeoVim configuration and how he uses NeoVim. So I'm really, really excited about that. Always learn something. Like no matter how long well, NeoVim's fairly new, but it's just a fork of Vim. No matter how long you use Vim, every time you sit down with another Vim user, you learn a trick. It's like, oh, wow, I've been doing this wrong this entire time. That's awesome.
Yep. One of the articles that, if you want to be scared, is going to be Eric Mann's Security Corner: the risks of free conference internet. So jumping on the Wi-Fi is just things to keep in mind. Think about, keep yourself safe.
Yep.
Always important.
Yeah. So good articles. And like I said, it's a little. We're trying to make it a little thicker than usual. Not because we're giving it away for free in the swag bag. That's not why. That's 100% the reason. Just to make it clear.
All right.
But the quality of the magazine is the actual quality of the magazine. What you get in your swag bag is what you get every month if you subscribe to the print version of the magazine, which is not a requirement. We have a digital version, obviously. The print is just a little nicer to have and to kind of thumb through. I usually keep one in my bag and one in the car and just kind of thumb through it when I find some time.
Yeah. It's one of those things I missed. There was a period of time where PHP Architect didn't have a print version. So for a long time, it was only print, and that's how I got it, and I loved it. And then when they stopped it, I was very disappointed. And then they brought it back before we acquired PHP Architect, and was happy to hear that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a little extra work, but it always seems worth it.
For sure. Just need to get it out there.
Yep.
All right. I think that about wraps us up. What do you think? You have anything else you want to touch on?
I'm good with that. Keep them nice and short. I like it.
Yeah. Until next time, thank you for hanging out with us.
Yes.
I'm John.
I'm Eric.
Keep listening. I know.
Keep coding.
And keep reading.
Keep reading. That was awesome. We should do this professionally.
Bye.
Bye.
PHP Podcast, the official podcast of PHP Architect, the industry's leading tech magazine and publisher, focused on PHP and web development. Subscribe today at phparch.com to see what the leaders in the community and industry are talking about.